Hello and welcome to InfraSpace. InfraSpace is the new game from Dionic Software, formerly known as, well, I can't pronounce the Austrian name. You may know them as the developers of Founder's Fortune, though. It is a space colony builder game that mixes production games, such as Factorio or Anno, with a freeform city builder, such as City Skylines. Before we get started, I want to thank Dionic Software for the copy of the game to play today. As opportunity and availability arise, I plan on playing this game throughout the development. That is, as each alpha version is made available. This is Alpha 1, which means, as you can't hear, no sound. It also means that there will probably be bugs or weird behavior. But the basics of a great game are here, and so I want to feature this for you today. Let's get started. First off, there are a small handful of settings, mostly graphics. Obviously no sound settings yet because we don't have sound. And I have the graphics set on high quality. Just to kind of show the difference here, it mostly has to do with shading. And that's about it. I actually didn't really see much of a difference between low and medium. But I do see a little bit more shading here in high. And my graphics card should be good enough to play on high. And then we can obviously create a new game or load an existing game, and otherwise the settings here are whether the game is running in the background or not, and whether mouse edge scrolling is on or not. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start a new game. This is an alpha version. This is not a finished game. It may contain bugs. We are releasing this early version to players, YouTubers, and streamers so that we can get some feedback on the gameplay and find bugs long before the official release. This version is free. The final game will cost money, like most finished games. With the help of community playtesting, we're trying to make the game good enough to be worth it. Not all updates are released to everyone. Right now, we're focusing on developing as quickly as possible, without providing a lot of support for early playtesters. During alpha, not every update will be released to everyone. Some will only be given to a couple of YouTubers for playtesting. Sorry, this will change when the game is done. Have fun, report bugs and issues. Please let us know about anything that is broken or is annoying. Use our forum or Discord server to contact us. Happy playing. So we start out with a blank canvas of a map here. We're on a reddish world here that's looks to be square. Square. So it's kind of a Mars-looking atmosphere here. Holding down the middle mouse button and moving our cursor around changes the direction and angle of the camera. Scrolling the mouse wheel zooms us in and out. Right click does nothing, left click does nothing, at least so far. Across the bottom here we have some buttons for building different things, like the different buildings in the city / factory. Up at the top here we have concrete and steel. Use concrete and steel for constructing your roads and buildings. These resources are collected in the storehouse. Here we have, I'm actually going to pause for a moment. We have a pause and a play button here. Here we have how many astronauts are currently waiting to move in, scientists, citizens, and families. This button here is our tech tree. We'll come back to that in a little bit. This here, I believe, is our tech progress. I did do a short test game here, and I believe this is the progress toward the current technology. If we have one selected. Our current population is 15, although I'm not sure where they're at. We have 0 jobs, and we have housing for 15 people, but again, I'm not sure where at. I'm assuming there's supposed to be some sort of a central hub building at some point that is just missing in this alpha version. So we need to gather resources in this game, such as sulfur, iron, and copper. We need to refine those resources and then use those resources to build a city and eventually accept colonists and families into our city that's supported by these resources. So let's click the play button again, and this is a small tutorial here that we'll be following at least for the first handful of minutes of this episode. So the first thing the game wants us to do is to build a sulfur mine. So we have down here mines, refinement, production, science, miscellaneous, life support, habitats, services, roads, and debug, which is, I'm assuming, only for the early alpha versions. So under mines, we do have a sulfur mine available. One of the things that I caught on this game when it was first announced is the mines kind of snap to the edges of the miners snap to the edges of the resource nodes, and even though this looks like a smooth field of resources, it's actually several clumps like the iron more looks like, but the copper and the sulfur look just like a smooth field, but they're not. They're actually also a bunch of like clumped up materials. So we're just going to kind of clip this to the edge of one of the clumps, and now we have moved on to the next step in the tutorial, which is a sand mine. So we'll do that. Sand mines can be placed literally, I think literally anywhere, because they're just literally picking the sand up from the ground. So we're going to put put one of those here nearby the sulfur mine, maybe kind of like a little bit apart. We can use R to rotate the building, and maybe we'll place it like right here. And this is if it's grid based, it's like microgrid. Basically anything can be placed almost anywhere. Loosely on the ground here. And then we need to use that sulfur and that sand, escape key, to to produce concrete. And the difference between refinement and production, I'm not sure is well defined here, but I also am not surprised, again, because this is a very, very early alpha here. So we can maybe put this concrete factory here nearby the sand and sulfur. And by the way, when we click on a building, it tells us the input ingredients of that building and what that building will output. So with 1 sulfur and 1 sand, this building will make 2 concrete. And how much storage it has of all 3 of its items, how many workers it has here, what its efficiency is based on the number of workers, and whether there is incoming storage is empty or not. Here we are producing sand and sulfur, so we have some storage of each of those items here. So the next quest or task is to build a road, and we're just going to do a basic default road here, and there is a you can adjust the height of the roads using, for right now, the R key to raise it and the F key to floor it. I don't know. I don't like, though, that the R is the raise the road, because as you saw when I clicked on the road, it was way up here because I rotated these buildings with R. So I think, and obviously, the developer just barely added the R and the F hotkeys for this, I think, because it wasn't shared anywhere in the game. They shared it in the email that contained the link to download the alpha version. So what I want to do is build just a road coming between this stuff here like this. And we'll just put that down, and I'm going to right click to clear my cursor, and then we need to attach each building, and you can just, you can see that the road snaps into the building. You can't really see it here because of the sulfur alert, but we can snap it like this, and then snap it right onto the road, and then we can actually just keep going straight across onto the other mine. So now we have both mines connected to the road, and then we can also connect the concrete factory to the road. And we'll right click to clear it, and there go the trucks. So we can zoom way in here, which is really nice, and we can see that there are differently colored trucks here, depending on which resource is being hauled. The sand is a paler yellow than the sulfur. I'm assuming over time that'll get refined a little bit in the color. But we have a basic now set up with roads and trucks and buildings. And each truck actually represents 1 item. So all 15 trucks that hauled sand in here, all 5+ trucks that have hauled sulfur in here, each truck represents 1 unit, which is pretty interesting. The trucks don't do return trips, and so in that respect, it kind of reminds me of Industries of Titan. Actually, even with the trucks, it reminds me a little bit of Industries of Titan, if you have seen that game. If you haven't, you can see some of my stream archives on my channel. But anyways, each resource is being hauled here by a truck. So the next quest is to build a storehouse, and that is under miscellaneous. And so we're going to build this storehouse maybe right in here someplace. And there is no Shift R to rotate back the other direction, by the way. That would be something I think nice to have perhaps in the future. And then I need to do the F to bring this back down to the surface again. And then this also snaps to the center of the building. And then we're going to actually maybe extend the road a little bit further here. and then we'll snap this onto the road. And it's snapping onto that junction there, by the way. And I'd rather it not, but maybe, is there a shift or an alt or a control modifier? No. I guess we'll just snap it to that junction. It's fine. Where I separated the road piece at. So now we have concrete being stored in the warehouse. You can't click on the warehouse to see the contents, but I don't think it matters because I don't think there's a limit to the capacity. At least as far as I can tell, they seem to be pretty infinite here, concrete and steel, which we haven't even gotten to steel yet. So the next quest is to build a habitat for astronauts. So maybe we'll take the road a little bit further first, out from here, out that way somewhere. It might not be bad. And then we're going to build, and you can see the roads have a little bit of curvature smoothing to them here. So because I built a longer road, it stays kind of arced up a little bit. And that's kind of just part of their like city skylines kind of behavior or the behavior you know if you've played City Skylines. So this build an astronaut habitat. I'm going to build it down here a little bit further down the road. A little bit off the road. I'm not sure how much importance that has at this point. I don't think there's any clipping or anything like that at this point, but that's okay. And then we want a basic farm, and that'll go. I think I want to build another road coming out this way for that. Maybe just a short little road like that. And the life support basic farm is here. And let's rotate just a little bit there. And then we also need to have an air processor, and that'll go right here as well. Back to roads again and connect those up to the road. And I want to snap it. As you can see, I did use R, so now the road wants to go up in the air. So we can force that down, or it will clip to an existing segment of road like this. And like that. And now you can see there are trucks carrying air and carrying food into the habitat. All right, so now we need to build a spaceport. And that is here under services? No, that is under miscellaneous. Spaceport. And I'm going to build that right here, I think, in this area. And of course, I keep going just past the correct orientation here. Maybe I can't stop there. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And you can see there's a little bit of clipping going on too with the terrain. All features of an early access game. An early alpha game even. And let's connect this road, and you can see I did a bunch of rotation again, but I don't need to actually force the level of the road down if I'm snapping it to an existing building or an existing road. So we've built the road connecting the spaceport in, and now we have to reach a population of 17 people. Now we started out with 15 in our invisible headquarters building or whatever, and now we just need to provide enough food and oxygen for people to move in. And that just takes a moment from my experience in my test game. So let's let that happen. And I'm assuming in a later version of the game, this spaceship will take off and land. Here's people. They're in a pink truck, apparently. Yep, we got one person there. A la Avon Colony, if you watched me play that game. That was fun too, or played it yourself. Where the transport ship lands and takes back off again. Actually, this has a bit of Avon Colony to it as well, with the different buildings, and in the Avon Colony use those tunnels. These are roads, but same kind of concept. So the spaceport must bring in one person either at a regular interval. Here's another one, or when there's enough food and oxygen in storage there. Not sure which. But we are making a bunch of food here. And the next step is to start producing steel. So we're going to build an iron mine. Iron is way the heck over here or up here on this hill. We're going to need copper eventually. So I think I'm going to build, and part of the reason why I built the roadway out here like this is I think we're going to build the road. Why you be derpy? I think we're going to build a road out toward the copper and iron like this on an angle compared to the rest of the base, but that's okay. And we're going to stop there, and we're going to build iron mines just like we built the sulfur mines, snapped to one of the nodes of the iron here. And then, of course, we need to have roads connecting connecting that iron mine to the road network. And I think I'm going to come out like this and then do nothing like that, maybe like that. And then we need to build a steel mill, and that's what I want to build up here on this main road. And you can see, by the way, that even though the road was level, because there's a dip here, it made a bridge automatically. If I had done something like this instead, where I came down, you can see that it stays closer, and then I could go down here and then come back up like this, and that would make a road that followed the train a bit more. Let's bulldoze that road, though. And then you can see it does some auto correction on the other roads as well. So it's kind of all dynamically drawn and handled. Let's put in and by the way, there are the 2-lane roads here like that. And then we have a 3-lane road like this. And we have a highway, which is no different than the 2-lane road. Interesting. I'm not sure what that is supposed to be. Okay. And I'm assuming that it's a capacity thing, though. So the more trucks, the more density you have. Like, see how these trucks are stopping the other one from going in like that? If we use the wider roads, we would be able to handle more trucks. We also had that problem when we first built the concrete factory. We had all the trucks spilling out of the sand mine and the sulfur mine and fighting over the space for each other. That would be cleaned up as well if we had put in a 2-lane road here. Then they would each be able to use a lane instead of having to fight over the one. All right, so let's build the production steel mill over here. And I don't know really what the front of these buildings are. I guess that is the front, perhaps. If it matters, it's kind of the front. And of course, this wants iron ore. So we want a road here to connect to that. And now there's going to be iron trucks coming in. Iron trucks are oh, that's good. A sort of like a pale bluish color. So once again, another game that uses blue for iron and red for copper. And we need carbon here. And you might wonder, where am I going to get carbon from? Carbon comes from the air processor. For every so many oxygen that are made, maybe it's 1-to-1. Maybe it's not. There's carbon made, and so we need to shuttle all that carbon, which you can see it's being shuttled over here now, over to make steel. And so I guess I could have put the steel mill closer to over here. It kind of doesn't really matter at this point, at least in the game. As time goes on, it might matter more. And I don't know if it makes sense to put a warehouse over here or not. These trucks are the steel trucks hauling steel, so maybe it makes sense to put another miscellaneous storehouse right here nearby the steel. Maybe we'll put it on the other side of the road. Okay. There. And put a road going in there, and then maybe the steel will just go into the nearest storehouse. I'm actually not sure. I haven't done this. Yep, it'll just go to the nearest one. So that works out well. So the next thing we need to build is a research lab. That is under science. No, yes, that's under science. And I'm going to put this maybe somewhere in the middle here along the road. I can't remember exactly what goes into the first science, so we'll just have to figure that out or play it by ear. And then, of course, we want a road to it. And you'll go there-ish. And we need a Science Pack 1 factory. I'm going to go on a limb and assume that this is copper and or iron. I believe that's correct. So I'm going to put Science Pack 1 factory down here closer to the iron and the copper. Maybe not too close, but closer. And then, of course, we'll want to put in a road to that. And it wants iron ore. Is it only iron ore? Iron ore and carbon to make Science Pack 1. Interesting that it's basically making steel. Oops, sorry. So let's put up another, all right, another mine, iron mine. Okay, there we go. Put up another iron mine, maybe right in here someplace. And we'll hook a road to it and snap it onto the existing road there, like that. And that'll build just like a little 3-way intersection, which is good. We currently have not enough workers. We're at 2 out of 3 workers for a couple of buildings. which is not good. But actually, let's go ahead and set up the electronics research first. So we want tech electronics. And a lot of these obviously are internal names with Science Pack 1 in, was that camel case here, and tech electronics with the underscore. I'm assuming all this stuff will be made more friendly as the alpha process proceeds. So we currently have all 10 inhabitants here, so we're stuck at 25 population right now. And so while that's researching, I think I want to build another habitat. I'll build it a little bit further over here-ish. And then we need a road. That'll go into here, and then we need to press F to go way down again. And we'll go here with the other part of that road. And then we can do life support, a basic farm here, and an air processor here. And then our roads can go into there and into there. And that's a little goofy looking, but who's counting? Okay, so we now have a little bit of extra supply here for air and food go to supply this one. Although, well, you were a little starved out, but you have some surplus of oxygen. So it could be that we need to have maybe 2 farms for every habitat. Well, they seem to have kept up. We'll see. But so you have people moving in here. We just went up to 26 people. I just saw the pink truck come in. So as we get more resources in here and/or time passes, we'll get more workers. Science Pack 1 should be producing. It is, and that's a blue truck, which makes sense because the building has the blue color to it. And it's going to go into the research lab. And I guess I probably could have put this closer down here, at least for the purposes of this initial video. But hey, let's watch the trucks drive. And I don't know if there's a limit. Well, we need more workers, that's for sure. I don't know if there's a limit on how many trucks a building can output or anything like that. None of that's been kind of defined or explained yet. But this is obviously taking, 75% efficiency, so it's obviously taking some time to make a science pack. So maybe we want to have 2 of these, in fact. Let's do, was it science? Yeah. Science Pack 1. And it was auto-selected, which is, we don't have enough concrete and or steel. Steel is the problem right now. So steel has plenty of iron and carbon contained here, so let's do another steel mill right up next to the other one. And of course a road to get there. And then we can make some more steel if we can get some more iron in there. Although these have orders of 22, 21, and it's not been fulfilled. Yes, this has whatever order, and steel is being ordered like crazy. I'm not sure by what. At this point, 38 ordered, 1 ordered. Not sure who is ordering steel. And sand seems to be producing slower than sulfur. Although we have a bunch of orders from both anyway. Oh, I'm not sure. They actually seem to be kind of producing at the same rate. Maybe sulfur was just built first, so it's a few ahead of sand. Maybe. Yeah, we'll go with that as the explanation. All right, so we're making a bunch of steel now. We need to have 45, I think, in order to build another Science Pack 1 building. So I think we're going to wait on that. We have astronauts waiting to move in. I'm not sure if this is a absolute number or it's like a net number compared to there's 35, but we already have 31 of them. I'm not sure how that works. What exactly that means. I think early in the plan, it only showed like a few. That was before we had any habitat available, so maybe, but I'm not sure. So you have finished the tutorial of the alpha version. Congrats, the alpha doesn't feature any end goals, but you can try unlocking the research tree and grow your city until it can sustain families. Hooray! So we're not going to do that for this episode, and rather actually even for this series, for lack of a better word, this alpha 1. I think I'm just going to kind of leave it here. Actually, you can see that we can continue with the research, and we can make stuff. Actually, we're going to do a little bit more before we end the episode. But and then you can see it later on. We'll have a green science pack, and then a yellow science pack, and then a red science pack as we progress through this tech tree. Before we go, I want to actually build an electronics factory just to kind of show you the next bit. And that's, here is an electronics factory. Let's build one of those just right here. This needs to have iron ore and copper ore. So of course we already have iron ore coming in. I keep hitting escape, thinking that's going to clear those pop-up windows. Let's build a road to it though, I suppose. And then I want to build a road out here to some copper mines, at least one copper mine. Let's build a mine, copper mine. We'll build it there. And then we'll have a road going out to it, coming in from it to there. And that should at least enable us to make electronics. Now, what electronics are used for, I don't know. And obviously still need some more workers as well. We're a little sparse on the workers. So really, we could probably use a third setup of the habitat. We are stockpiling food and oxygen. We have a lot of carbon on order, though. But as the game progresses, we'll be able to make microchips here at a microchip factory, motors at a motor factory. Be able to unlock and mine aluminum here, and we'll be able to make computers at a computer factory. So like some of the production is here in the production tab, some of it's here in refinement. I'm not sure why a electronics factory is refinement, but a concrete factory is production, or a steel mill is production. It seems more refinement to me, but I think it's just kind of arbitrary at this point. And then we can unlock the science 2, which is the green science. And we can also then bring in this, be able to make a scientist habitat and be able to bring in scientists. I'm assuming maybe we need a supply of those in order to do the green research. Maybe that's part of the effect of the green. I'm not sure. Maybe we need them to work in that lab or that factory. Then we can do nanotubes. Neural processors were somewhere. Oh, they're ahead yet. Iridium mining and uranium mining. We'll be able to do that. I should probably show that. Here we have iridium, which is kind of a pinkish purple color, and then we have uranium, which is green, of course. And I think those are all the resources we have. I think those are them. And then we have science 3, which is yellow. We also can do efficient solar panels, which I'm not sure at this point what those are. What those give us, because we haven't really seen the use of power yet. Nuclear power, of course, here. So obviously we're going to have some kind of power for our for this game eventually, which makes sense. But maybe we have crappy solar panels to start with by default, and then we get better ones later on. And then eventually we can unlock food processing, robotics, holo displays, FTL control units. Ooh, FTL propellant. Ooh. And then citizen habitats, science 4, and then family habitats. And I'm assuming there's going to be more to this tree as time goes on. So, but I think we're going to leave this episode here now. This is kind of everything that's available in Alpha 1. Yes, we could progress through the tech tree, but I think it makes more sense to wait until those are part of the sort of point or progress of the game, and then come back to this in Alpha 2 or whatever the next version that I'm able to play is, and see what changes are made, and kind of grow this series and series on my channel as the game itself grows. So I'm really excited about this game. It has a lot of features that scratch a lot of itches for me with, the city builder a la SimCity or City Skylines, obviously the factory, which you've seen plenty of times on my channels, and then eventually the math of the calculating the ratios or those types of things. And Founder's Fortune is a really great game. I played it during the beta phase before I really had a channel. Actually, before I had a channel at all, I think. And I've not gotten back to it, and I keep meaning to, but so much other stuff just keeps coming up that it keeps eluding me. But one of these days, I will actually play Founder's Fortune either on Twitch or here on YouTube. And even if I played on Twitch, of course, those VODs will be available here as stream archives on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that at some point in the future. And also keep an eye out for more episodes of this game, InfraSpace. And I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye, everyone.